Hi, and welcome. I am your host, Mike Bankhead, bass player, songwriter from Dayton, Ohio. This is a special one today. Today I'm talking to Brian Zisook, who goes by Z on the internet. He is the Senior Vice President of Operations at Audiomack. What is Audiomack? Stick around and listen. And hey, specifically for you people who are musicians in Dayton, Ohio, please listen. I have something that I consider an important proposal for you that would be good for all of us, but requires some context. So hang in there with me and listen to this podcast. I think you'll appreciate it. You are Brian, also known as Z, which stands for Zisook.
Yes, exactly. You nailed it. And you said it perfectly. You did your homework.
I try to do a little bit of my homework. I'm seeing on the wall behind you some album covers.
Yep.
And it tells me that you're really into hip-hop and R&B. I see Beastie Boys. I see Lauryn Hill and Jay-Z and Dre, The Chronic. I see Kendrick Lamar. I don't recognize all of those albums because I'm a rock guy, but I recognize more than half. Let's say half or slightly more. This leads me to want to ask you about your origin story, because I also found your website, the DJBooth one. Can you tell me about how you got into music?
Great question, Mike, and thank you for having me on. So I've always been into music. Growing up, my parents always played music in the home. There was never a moment in time when there wasn't something playing. My uncle is a musician. My grandfather was a cantor in the synagogue, so he was responsible for leading the chanting of the melody to the congregation. I played trumpet in middle school, and then when I went to college, I started working at the college radio station as an on-air DJ and interned as the music director. And I got a degree in radio broadcasting and journalism. And I thought I wanted to be on the air for my profession, but radio absolutely kicked my after I graduated. 4 a.m. to noon is morning show radio hours, which means you're up at 3 a.m. and at the door at 3:30. It's probably the reason I'm bald right now. I'm only half joking. And so, yeah, DJBooth was something that was strictly a hobby. And when I stopped pursuing a career in radio, I looked to DJBooth as an opportunity to continue to work in music, or at least music adjacent journalism, covering a genre that I love. And I never honestly, in my wildest dreams, thought that it would provide me the means to have a full-time income. And lo and behold, it did. And, here we are, almost 20 years later.
That was my next question, was going to be, when did you start it?
My business partner, Dave Mackley, launched DJBooth while he was still in college, and that was in 2003. I met Dave on the internet in 2005, so 2 years after he created DJBooth. At the time, DJBooth was product review, so turntables, headphones, mixer reviews, and DJ playlists, and it was very obviously DJ-centric. And my pitch to Dave was very simply, I think there's great potential with this website that you've built. I don't know how to build one myself. I'd like to create content and give it to you so that you publish it. And I don't want any money. I just want the platform. And I think Dave might have emailed me or called me back like 10 minutes after I dispatched that email. And we've been in business together ever since.
Still going. Not a lot of... I'm sure that a lot of music journalism websites have started and failed in the amount of time that DJBooth has been going. But I have it up today, and there is a post about new music that came out yesterday. So still active and still talking about what's going on in the genres that you cover. And that's how I know who you are, because I have a really good friend who's into hip-hop who followed you on social media, and the particular gentleman is my favorite rapper in our community. And, you follow the folks the artists that you respect follow. You almost mentioned Audiomack, so let's go talk about Audiomack. I like Audiomack, and I wish more people did. You are first of all, you're the co-founder, which means it was partially your idea, and currently Senior Vice President of Operations. So what does that mean that you have to do? First, let's start with what Audiomack is for listeners that might not know, and then what do you do there?
Great questions and great segue. So Audiomack is an artist-first streaming service and discovery platform. We launched in 2012, which means that we are celebrating 10 years this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. DJBooth just celebrated 19 last week, Tuesday. So we're getting old. DJBooth's almost legal. And, Audiomack can go play in the front yard without adult supervision.
Yep.
Audiomack launched at a time in which many artists were haphazardly releasing their music on the internet. They would use free file sharing services to disseminate their work. The pitfall there is that these services were never created with the intention of distributing works, and they would die. The links would go dead, and those who would attempt to use them would be facing pop-up ads and malware. And so we saw an opportunity to aid artists at a time in which we hadn't yet reached DSPs and we were coming out of the blog era. And now 10 years later, we're not a full catalog service, but we work with 180 plus content partners who we have licensing agreements with, including all three major labels. And we have 25 million global monthly users outside of the United States. We are extremely popular in sub-Saharan Africa. Currently, we are the #1 music app on both iOS and Android in Nigeria. And we are a top 3 app in Kenya and Ghana and Tanzania. And furthermore, not only are we very popular just amongst music apps in this region, we're quite frequently neck and neck in the top 10 apps across the board, next to the Instagram, Meta, WhatsApp, Gmails of the world. So our growth in that region and on that continent has been extremely exciting. And I think you also asked me what the hell I do.
Yes.
So you read the title, but what does that actually mean? So I am responsible for overseeing all of our external partnerships. So all of the labels and distributors whom we have a licensing agreement with, and then all of the content that we create and either publish, produce, or premiere on our platform directly or any of our socials, YouTube. So if we do an article on Audiomack World, if we produce a fine-tuned episode, which is a unplugged style stripped down series on YouTube, snackable content that runs on our Twitter, right? So I oversee all of this. My department, which is Content Operations and Artist Services, we are the only department at Audiomack responsible for liaising and communicating with every other department at the company and external parties. So it's a lot of email, a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings, and it's also a lot of fun. I will say that.
Is your team big enough to get everything done?
Oh, no. No chance. We have 10 people on my team. I could easily use another 20. At other streaming services, content operations is typically split off from artist and label services. Also under our department, we oversee support. So yeah, it's absolutely a lot, and I always need more people.
The first thing you said about Audiomack is that it's artist friendly. Let's get into that. How are you more artist friendly than, say, a certain company that is based in Sweden that I will not name, but they're green?
Mike, you're good at this. You're good at this. So yes, we do pride ourselves on being artist friendly and artist first. What makes us different? So first of all, we don't charge creators for anything. Unlike competitors who have either a flat monthly or annual cost to be a premium user, meaning you get unlimited upload capability, unlimited storage, access to analytics through a creator dashboard, we offer all of that on the house. We believe that our artist base, our users, they are by extension part of our marketing team. And so by giving them a platform on which they can succeed without having to come out of pocket, knowing full well just how expensive it is to be a creator in the first place. And if they perform well on platform, they're going to shout it from the rooftops, right? And there's nothing better for us than for the creative community to evangelize Audiomack, because it hits different when you hear it from a creator using a platform than from a mouthpiece speaking on behalf of the platform. Like, for example, you've done a terrific job without any provocation or solicitation of evangelizing the Audiomack platform. And I would like to believe that your thoughtful feedback and analysis about our platform does wonders as compared to me talking about what we can offer, because you're an artist yourself. I'm not.
I hope so. And I'm going to translate some of that into not professional business speak. I spent a long time in corporate America, so I'm used to it. But if any musicians or artists out there are not, if you have released music anywhere other than Bandcamp, you are paying money to get the music on the platform. The green platform, the red one with the lowercase I, the one that owns worldwide shipping and is named after a rainforest. All of those platforms, you have to go through a company like DistroKid or CD Baby or TuneCore, and there's 1,000 of them. And you submit your work to them, and they handle getting it to all the streaming services for you. That's what we have to do to get our art on these streaming services. With Audiomack, that's not a thing you have to do. Now, you can. You can, if you have a DistroKid account, use them to upload Audiomack. Or you could just go upload it yourself to Audiomack, and that doesn't cost you anything but the time and the effort that it takes to do it. And I think that's awesome, personally.
Thank you. It's particularly important for artists who are in the infancy stages of their career. Let's say you're just a hobbyist, you're a bedroom artist. You know, to your point before, you have a full-time job, you love music. It's not anywhere close to being a full career yet, but you aspire for it to be. But at that point, you know, do you really need to work with a distributor? Well, if you want your music everywhere, that's certainly something you'd have to do. But if while you're still figuring out what you want to do, who you want to be as an artist, but you want to disseminate your work for a larger crowd, being able to directly upload it to a platform that has no hurdles to clear in order to do so. It's not going to come, you're not going to have to pay for it, right? So there's no money coming out of your pocket. And you have the ability, and this is the kicker here, to apply for and gain acceptance into AMP, which is the Audiomack monetization program, which allows you to actually make money on the songs that you are uploading. So no money's coming out of your pocket. You can generate money off of your uploads. We believe in creating the best solutions for the creative community because that's what's going to see them win. And then by virtue, hopefully, we will continue to win.
That's the plan. So talk about the listener's experience. So let's say that I'm not a musician, but I've stumbled onto this podcast because I like musicians. What's my experience going to be like as a listener listening to Audiomack on my phone, on my tablet, or on my computer?
Hopefully seamless, right? We've created what I believe to be a great user experience. I think the biggest difference is that the vast majority of real estate, and again, most listeners are doing so through an app on their phone where real estate is at a premium. And so if you look at the most valuable real estate in any DSP app, it's going to largely be dedicated to artists whom you are already familiar with, who are likely signed to major label recording contracts. So either the algorithm is spitting back out what it believes you want to listen to, which again is likely major label popular content, and or it's editorial, so in-house curated content, again, from the most popular acts from the three major labels. When you open up the Audiomack app, you're going to first see global trending. And this is not algorithmic. This is curatorial. And it is essentially a living playlist that once you're on it, You're never off of it. You just technically keep on getting bumped down as new material is added. But what makes us different is that the curation is across a wide spectrum of artists. And so it's very likely that you will see a household name right next to someone you have never heard of in your entire life. And by producing an environment in which these two different tiers of artists can exist side by side, we're taking what would be a passive experience wherein someone presses play and just lets it ride into an active experience, a lean forward experience where our users actually do take the time to discover new talent, which is definitely a lost art in 2022 and is missing across a vast majority of all entertainment platforms. So I think that's most noticeable. I think what we did to amplify that further was in 2021, we integrated Audiomack World, which is our traditional editorial arm. By traditional editorial, I mean the written word and not the newfangled version of it in the streaming context. So again, let's go back to active versus passive. The vast majority of DSP users do one of two things. They either press play on a song on a playlist and hop over to another app on their phone, i.e. Twitter, Instagram, etc., or they press play on a playlist and leave entirely, stick their phone in their pocket and do an activity, clean the house, go to the gym, etc. And so when you come across a song on a playlist, you're not looking into them further. Who is this artist? Where are they from? What else have they released? What are they all about? Is this their first recording? Is this their 20th? And I've just been missing out for years. And so by introducing World into the app, people can now read about these artists in the same space as they can listen to them. They don't have to toggle between multiple apps. They don't have to open up a browser window. And the best part is all of the proper nouns, artist names, song titles, album titles are all hyperlinked. And so it's immersive. And if you read, you have to be looking at your phone. You can't stick it in your pocket. You can't leave. And so we've now increased the number of page views per session. We've increased the length of time per session. And this is extremely valuable, both for us as a business, of course, but also for artists, because now discovery means something entirely different. I don't have to hope I come across someone and then leave where I found them, Google them and hope I find something, or hop on over to my social media platform of choice and search for them and hope I can find the same artist I found. It's all right there. Everything's hyperlinked. Everything is linked. By simplifying the process, we have increased engagement. We've increased session time. And I believe that it's the necessary next step toward making discovery, actually something that matters.
I think that's a fantastic approach. And the reason I think that is, look, I'm a dinosaur and my listening habits are not those of the modern person. I mean, I'm a musician. We love music on a different level than regular people. I still read music blogs. I, as an old person, pretty much don't mess with playlists often unless I'm trying to do specific research. But here's an example. When you tweet about an artist that you like, I go to Audiomack and I listen to that record straight through. When I'm listening to music, I consume music generally in albums. So I am not the person you're trying to reach out for with this. Like you said, the person that is a playlist type listener that's a set it and forget it, and you don't want them to leave the platform and you want them to find something new, that's a fantastic way. That's a fantastic way to do it. People like me are going to find the new stuff anyway, right? Again, I like to read music journalism. I'll go read Audiomack World, or I'll see you tweet about something. This is a fantastic album. All right, let's find out. Will I like it? Maybe, maybe not. But I'll go listen to it because you said that you liked it, right? I like that you're actively trying to keep listeners on the platform and engaged, but not just for selfish reasons. Here's more music that you didn't know about that you might actually like.
Well, thank you. And, just for anyone who's curious, how this came to be, to go back to the beginning of our conversation here, Mike, we saw the pitfalls through the years while running DJBooth. And the game changed when people stopped visiting bookmarked websites and only scrolled up and down social media for things that were shiny and bright. And it sort of changed the way that editors and writers approached the construction of content and headlines. And it's not a fun game to play. The truth is that people do like reading. It's that they don't like leaving where they are to go read and then come back. And so the hurdle for us on the DJ booth side for years was, what's the hook? How can we get you excited enough to read this while not bastardizing the bedrock of the content just to get you to hop over? It's way easier within an app experience like Audiomack, where we already have your attention because you want to stream new music. Now you don't have to leave and go anywhere else to do the reading. And given that we've been increasing the total volume of page views month over month for the past 15 months, suggests that there is an appetite to read. There is an appetite to discover new music and dig a little bit deeper. It just has to be delivered through a vehicle that's seamless and easy.
So you've had some UX people on the team, it would seem.
Oh yeah, and I know nothing about that world at all, and I interact with and engage with our dev team daily. I can't believe how much they put up with. They, here's the thing. I never know what's actually possible. I just keep throwing ideas at the wall, and I'll let them tell me like, yeah, hey, that's great. It's never happening. Or yeah, that's great. It might happen in like a year, or that would require 20 more people to get hired to make that possible. But, the more ideas you throw out there, the greater the likelihood that a few of them will be adopted and it'll improve the product.
One of the ideas that you had adopted to improve the product that I have not seen anywhere else is your supporters feature. Would you talk about that, please?
Absolutely. So, first of all, I think to contextualize what supporters is, back in the day, you had to buy the whole album at a price point, let's say, of between $12.99 if it was on sale and $21 if you got it like retail. And so the labels were obviously making the killing on that. Then the industry at large went through the doldrums during the Napster phase, through the blog era. They hadn't figured out how to transition successfully. Then we had iTunes, and then Spotify came stateside. Now the streaming era is here, right? But through all of that, the value of the actual music has depreciated greatly. That's no secret. Every artist is aware of it. And I think now more than ever, the consumers are also gaining more awareness about that. For a lot of casual fans, the belief is if I stream new music when it's released, I've done my job. But the truth is that if you're really a fan, just streaming the music is not enough if you want that artist to continue to make music. And so we created a patronage style program called Supporters that allows our user base to directly purchase badges on the platform that memorialize their fandom for that particular work. So it's on a song or album level, not an artist profile level. And this is money that helps offset the paltry industry-wide revenue generated simply through royalties. And, from the user side, it's cool because you can now brag. You basically bought a clout token that you are a fan of this artist to such a degree that you supported them. The transaction is completed and you're able to get a downloadable, shareable image that could be put on social media so that you can make all of the other fans of that artist jealous. So that's cool for the artist, the user. On the artist side, not only are you gaining new revenue, which as an artist is your lifeblood to continue to create music as a full-time endeavor, but also you now have access to directly message and communicate with those who are willing to support you beyond just streaming your work. So let's say you generate $100 in supporters revenue through 20 contributions. The next time you're about to release a new song or a new album, a few days before that, you can now message all of your supporters from the previous release, informing them that you have a new album or song forthcoming. So you could directly message the people who you know are going to provide for you financially, and incentivize them to support once more by offering, just as an example, 25% off code for merch, or an advanced ticket link for your next tour, or a preview stream of the new song that's about to be released as a thanks for supporting your last release. So it brings artists and their fans closer. It puts more money in the pockets of creatives, and it also helps just to educate everybody in this ecosystem what is necessary for everyone to continue to flourish.
It's awesome. I feel like most of the streaming companies are more tech companies that happen to do music because it's content than companies that actually care about musicians. So I would not be optimistic that anyone is going to copy this idea anytime soon.
Well, I hope they don't for our sake. For artists' sake, I hope that there is more adoption, even if it's not a one-to-one. And to your point, which is I think, astute observation, Mike, this isn't a company created by and of Silicon Valley-based tech bros, right? This company was founded by and employs a lot of creatives who come from backgrounds in the fine arts. We have people who work for the company now who are producers, DJs, makeup artists, photographers, models. So these are people who understand the plight of the aspiring creative, not who are in some windowed building in San Francisco who are only looking at the bottom line.
That's one reason I happen to feel comfortable with Audiomack. Speaking of personal experience, I would say I'm a very low class artist. Doesn't mean I'm uncouth. Which I mean, you got your aristocrats, you got your upper middle class. I'm in the lower class. I'm a poor artist. I don't have your tens of thousands of streams. I will say that I get more listens to my music on Audiomack than any other service. I think that these are, for the most part, actual people, and that the spread is organic. And to echo what Z said earlier about where the platform is most used, I have almost as many listens from Nigeria as from the United States. And in some months, I actually have more listens in Nigeria than the United States. Why is this useful information? Well, I can design, I hate to talk about the metaverse, but I can design metaverse advertising and target that region because, let's face it, we cannot like it, but people use the thing, right? So this is useful information for artists, is what I'm saying, is to understand where people are listening to you from. It just gives you one more way to reach out to those people and try to connect with more people, because as artists, that's really what we want, is someone to listen to us and we can make that emotional connection.
And that data checks out. Outside the United States, Nigeria is our most popular country. So that's not shocking in the least. I think the conversation that we have, not you and I, but we as just a term for folks in the industry, about the intersection of data, commerce, and art is a difficult one because it's oil and water.
Yeah.
Right. So to what degree do you follow the data? What is the data actually telling us? If it is telling a story, does that story actually matter? And if it does, to what degree? What I will say to that is, we offer a fairly comprehensive and robust creator dashboard for all of our artists. Again, going back to earlier in our conversation, we don't charge for access to it. And so, it's not like you get some basic version of it on a free tier and then you got to pay up for the goods. You get all the goods immediately. And some of those goods include an understanding of where your plays are coming from geographically, but also where your plays are coming from within the Audiomack experience. Is it because a song was trended? Is it because you were added to a playlist? Are people searching for it? Is this something that was saved and is now being played through user libraries? Was the song embedded on a website or blog? And that's the driving force behind the traffic. This is all really useful information. I've had artists reach out and they said, I saw my streams go up. I didn't think much about it. And then I went to my creator dashboard and I realized that this blog wrote about my music and used an Audiomack embed. And, that's valuable because now you have the opportunity to reach out to that blog, foster a relationship, not only thank them for the coverage, but see how you can, expand that relationship directly with either the platform itself or whoever the writer was who chose to write about you. So the information's there. It's just a matter of what you're doing with it.
Yep. I want to really quickly make a plea to my fellow artists here in Dayton, because you have a feature on Audiomack where you have curated playlists for a certain city. And I would love to have that for my city. We do not have enough artists on your platform for that to be a thing. So Dayton artists, irrespective of your genre, and Audiomack is pretty heavy in hip hop, R&B, EDM, and pop. That's fine. Any genre works on this platform, and I would say that if you're making rock music, you have less competition on this platform today. In the future, that might not be the case. Dayton artists, all of you, many of you I know personally, some of you I don't. Upload your songs, upload all of your albums, upload all of your work to Audiomack. Treat it like any of the other streaming platforms, except for this one cares about you. We get enough Dayton artists on this platform. I would love to have a platform-specific curated playlist for all of us here on Audiomack. Rising tide lifts all boats, right? And also, it'd be nice to point our mutual fans in our city to this platform because they have a way to support us. Does that make sense, C?
It makes perfect sense. You said it better than I could. I think, I don't think you realize, but I think you're sort of like pitching yourself to become part of our marketing team. That's what it feels like here. So I'm not sure if you're angling for a job, Mike. But
I am not.
You're doing a fairly decent job.
I am not. And I should clarify, you are not paying me to say this. This is like, these are my personal experiences with your platform. And this is my observation from using it, from reading the content that is on there, and from using other streaming services as well. Yeah, it sounds like I'm shilling because I'm being paid. I'm totally not.
You're totally not. I came onto this podcast because I'm so thankful and appreciative of the wonderful things that you've said about the platform, but also your engagement with me personally on Twitter. And just because I love taking any opportunity I can get to talk about what we're doing, because I think so highly of everything.
That's a good lead-in to your Twitter feed, where you often just give us advice. By us, I mean musicians. Why do you do that?
Great question. So do you want the shallow answer or the deep answer, or both?
Let's go shallow first, deep second.
Okay. So the shallow answer is I didn't even have a personal Twitter until 2018, which was the point in time in which Audiomack really started to take off. And, there's really two tenets to Audiomack, particularly our editorial approach, and that's artist discovery and artist education. And I knew that because of my experience in the industry and my background, that I would have a following, and it was very important that the voice that I chose to keep publicly was synonymous with what we were trying to accomplish as a brand, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And so, there are far too many mouthpieces and figureheads of companies who are quite laissez-faire on social, and it doesn't match up with what the brand affiliation is. And so it was important to me that if people found me, hopefully to be trustworthy and credible, that by virtue of that connection, they would feel the same way about Audiomack, about DJBooth, etc. So that's the shallow answer. Is I wanted someone, if their first introduction to Audiomack was through my Twitter account, I wanted it to be a positive experience, or hopefully a positive experience. That's the shallow answer. The deep answer is I care, probably sometimes too much. not to get too involved here, but I've had to be a caregiver for quite a long time. My mother has been not well for almost 25 years. And so that's just part of who I am. And the more I got involved in music, the more I understood about how badly artists are taken advantage of by everybody, by record labels, by managers, by scam artists who are preying on them and promising dream fulfillment. And it just felt like a worthy cause and a mission that I knew that I could succeed at. And it just so happened to align with what we were doing as a company. And so, I don't really tweet about myself ever because I don't think anybody really cares. That's the truth. No one follows me because they're interested in my sports takes or pictures of what I'm eating for dinner. They're interested in gaining insight and knowledge into the recording business. I feel like I can provide that for them. And it just so happens that it's beneficial for my company as well.
Z is a great Twitter follow. You can find him over there at Brian Zisook. Brian is spelled with an I. Zisook is Z or Z if you're Canadian or English. Isook. I have one last question, which is not mine. I stole this from a podcaster in my community named Terry Izzy Rock Martin, who he tells me he stole it from someone else. But it's a question that I like to ask to people who are not from here, because people from here have probably been asked on that other podcast before. So, Brian, what did your childhood smell like?
That's a quite an interesting question, Terry. I mean, Mike. What did it smell like? It smelled like it smelled like iron. It smelled like the taste that you get in your mouth when you bite your lip and you taste the blood. I grew up in a middle class neighborhood with middle class virtues, but throughout my life, I've been punched in the mouth quite a few times. Not literally; that only happened once, at least that I can recall. But figuratively, through hardships and health matters that my entire family has had to traverse, and in the moments, that smell would make me sick. But I think that over time, like anything, it normalized. And now I turned 38 in April, or it is April, so I turned 38 this month. I think it's strengthened me and hardened me and made me the person that I am today. So as disgusting as that answer might seem on the surface, I hopefully articulated a much deeper answer.
That's awesome. That's very profound. That's it. I just want to say thank you. Senior vice presidents of companies are usually too busy to take time out to do this sort of thing. And I know you have 1,000 things to do. So thank you very much. Everybody go follow Brian on Twitter. And I'm a sports nerd, so I do care about your sports takes. You ever want to do this and just talk about not music? I'm down.
I have so many. Outside of music, my strongest affinity is for sports. Diehard Chicago sports fan, which is, depending when you ask me, quite depressing.
So Cubs or White Sox?
White Sox, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have been fortunate enough to see all of my favorite teams win a championship in my lifetime, but I was only one when the Bears won the Super Bowl.
85, I remember that.
So I don't think that counts.
It does not. That team was good. And I would have been 8, but I was already a football nerd by then. And I remember watching that game. I remember the Fridge scoring touchdowns in garbage time.
Yep. Yeah, it should have been Walter Payton.
It really should have been, but
still bummed about that. But Mike, thank you so much for having me. Senior vice presidents should make more time to hop on podcasts and make themselves available. And so shame on everyone that's not Brian Zisook.
Hey, you get a summer break. Maybe the White Sox are in first place. You'll be happy. We can talk about that.
Looking forward to it, Mike. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you once again to Z for taking time out of his busy schedule to talk to me. Thank you, dear listener, for listening. And hey, why not download Audiomack, the app, on your tablet or your phone? Check it out. I have a page over there. I'd like you to have a look. Did you know that you could also listen to this podcast on Audiomack? It's true, you can. As well as, wherever you're listening to it now. If you are interested, I invite you to like and or subscribe. But once again, thank you very much for listening.